Yeah, so today I'm sharing about chapter 15, which is the law of contribution from our John Maxwell book, the 15 invaluable laws of growth. I believe that we have all grown, we are all growing. We have at one point we're young, but in every aspect of our lives, we are growing. Each and every day we continue to learn. Each and every day we continue to see new things. We continue to experience growth, not only in the physical, but also in the spiritual, in our knowledge, in our actions, in the different circles that we belong to. We are all growing. So I'm so glad to be a part of a group that is growing as a whole. Yeah, so without much ado, I'll just dive into my presentation for today. And I just wanted to ask us if we have all read the other chapters, because since this is the last one, it sort of wraps up all the other 14 ones. I know there are quite a lot. The book is quite a lot. It's quite big, but I believe that we've all learned. We've learned something. We can remember something off-head, even if someone woke you up in the middle of the night and asked you, what does this book talk about? What does chapter 1 talk about? At least you have something. So I just want to encourage us to keep going back to it, even after we are done with all these presentations, and we are moving forward. We never stop growing. It's a daily process. It's a continuous process, and we just have to keep yearning for it so that we don't stagnate. Yeah. So I'll go straight into what I have for us today. It's about contribution. What is contribution to us? What does it mean in this whole aspect of business increase and growth? From when I was reading the book, I got a couple of things, and I was asking myself, what does contribution mean? What does it mean to be part of something? What does it mean to add your voice or add your being to something that you're involved? We know that God never puts us in any place for no reason. He has put us in different places so that we can be of good contribution to those places, to our workplaces, to our families, to all our circles. He has put us there so that we can be of positive influence and contribution. And of course, there is those negatives that we may contribute, but in overall, the positives should override the negatives in one way or the other. Even as you're seated there, I'm sure that there is a way you're contributing to your sitting in this auditorium. So let's go through it together. So one of the things that I learned from the chapter and the whole book is about personal growth. And I realized that personal growth becomes meaningful when it positively impacts others. So as we are growing as a church, as a community, as a whole, we are doing it, and then we are also doing it as individuals. So how better can we do it as individuals if we are not positively impacting those who are around us? Just like we've had speakers here teach us about different things, I'm sure that they have taught you something that you didn't know. I'm sure that you've learned from them. You've learned from the whole big service, the whole business community initiative. I also realized that true fulfillment comes from giving and not just receiving. So on a daily, we find ourselves giving something. We find ourselves learning something from someone. We find ourselves in an interaction which involves a receiver and a giver. Yeah, so there is always fulfillment, but in the different things that we do, but the most true fulfillment comes from giving. The Bible says that blessed are those who give than those who receive. Slide 2. Before I continue, I just want to make a small thought. I just want to say something small that I just remembered when I was going through school. School, there is a way it contributed a lot to me. Recently, someone asked me that, how come you speak English the way you speak it? In my head, I was wondering, what do they mean? But this was a Ugandan, so he was asking me, why do you sometimes speak English like someone from the West? Sometimes you speak like someone from the Central. So I hope I speak the right English right here as I'm presenting to you. The schools I went to contributed something to me. It's a mix of sort of things. One of the schools, Luganda was like the official language. The other school, Luchiga, was like the official language. So I got caught up in that mix, but I hope that you completely understand me. In case I make any mistake in my tongue, I hope that you will bear with me. Yeah, so how do you start your contribution? I just wanted to ask us, how do you start contributing in whatever way that you're contributing? First thing that I realized is for you to acquire inspiration. Sometimes we need someone to push us. We need someone to show us how to do certain things. On our own, we can't do it. So we need that inspiration. We need to acquire good modeling. One of the chapters in the book talks about the law of modeling, how we look up to our models, how they impact our lives. For instance, for us in church, we know that our pastors impact our lives, our mentors impact our lives. When we go to our workplaces, in our businesses, we have those people who model us. The third one is you have to be a river, not a reservoir. Every time that you pour out, like a river, you get refreshment, you get renewed. Reservoirs usually hold water, and at a certain point it becomes stale. So you're not supposed to be that reservoir. Be a river and pour into others, and others will pour into you. Make the right contribution choices. As you contribute in every space, be deliberate about what you contribute, and it should be the right one. Don't go for the negative kind of contributions. Next slide. So the other thing that I was thinking about is about how we're doing this whole personal growth, and how does it contribute to whatever we are doing as a church. So growth is not an end in its entirety. It's just a means of empowering others. As you grow, as you climb up the ladder, like we studied from the law of the ladder, as you climb higher, you learn how to pull others who are below you. So our growth is not the end. As we grow, we learn to empower others. Your growth increases your capacity to make a difference. So in most cases, if I think that I'm not growing, if I'm stagnated, I will not make a difference in any way, because people will keep getting the stagnation. People will keep getting the same person that I was last year. So each and every year, each and every time that passes, I need to be increasing my capacity to make a difference. And also, the other thing that I learned through the law of contribution is through our giving. We've been studying as a church about joy, about love, and how best can you, if I might ask, how best can you contribute to others if you don't love them? How best can you contribute to others if you don't have that inner joy and happiness within you? If you're always sad, if you're always into yourself, will you be able to contribute to others? Yeah, so joy and purpose are found in serving others, are found in contributing into other people's lives, just like many people have contributed into ours. I don't think that any one of us has grown up to this point if I may pick the youngest person here, I don't know, they're about 5 or 6 years. Even them, they have gotten that contribution from their parents, from their peers at school, and no matter how old you are, no matter how young you are, you keep getting that contribution from other people. The other one is contribution is deeply fulfilling and creates meaningful connections with people. If you're giving of yourself, people will want to connect with you. If you're this person who receives other people gladly and you impact them in their lives, people will always want to connect with you. And it will always be fulfilling when you get people around you who empower you in this whole journey of business, increase, and growth. Let's not forget that we are doing this for the sole purpose of increasing in our spheres of influence. Next slide. Yeah, so what happens when you've grown? What happens when you're contributing to others? I know that none of us here has reached that point of where they say that I've fully grown. No, we are still all growing until the Lord takes us home. I'm sure that even when he takes us to heaven, we shall still be growing. He will want us to serve him in heaven, and he will want us to serve him diligently, even much more than just like we serve him on earth. So as you embark on this journey of from success to significance, from you being a young child to being a teenager to being an adult, one of the things that I realized as I was reading the chapter is that success is equal to achieving personal goals. Sometime back, someone asked me, what does success mean to you? And I felt like asking us also, what does success mean to you? Because when you move from person to person, it means something different. Some people, they find success in having a lot of money and just keeping it to themselves. Others find success in getting money and giving it away. Others find success in having a wonderful family. Others find success in growing spiritually. Of course, that is the number one thing for us who are Christians. Our first success is to grow spiritually in God, in the Holy Spirit, and in the love of Jesus. But then we have to add on these other personal successes that we need, that we yearn for as we grow. So most of those kinds of success are usually personal. They are not, before we think about other people, we first think about ourselves naturally as human beings. Yeah, so, but after you've achieved those kinds of success in the different ways, how then does it create significance in your life? How does it create significance in those people around you who see you and they are wondering, Elton has achieved this, or he says he has achieved this, or he says he's like this. How is it helping the whole of LCF? How is it helping in his missional community, in his workplace? Yeah, so as you get that significance is positively impacting others. Impacting others positively, I was almost saying sometimes we impact people negatively, but like I said, the positive should always do what? Be greater. It should always outweigh the negative. And then also the third thing that I realized is we need to shift our focus from self-achievement to creating value to others. And how do we create value to others? I'm just wondering and asking us to think about that. In as much as we want these things, I want to grow in this way, I want to grow in this aspect. How am I creating value to others? You might contribute to their lives, but is it of value? Does it after some time, will they look back and say that what Elton contributed to my life has created value in me? Yeah. So how do we add value intentionally? One of the things that I found out is we need to have a deliberate action as we contribute value. Pastor Derek always shows me that deliberate. He always pushes us to have action in whatever we do, mostly in the north. I don't know, but I know our pastors always do that. And yeah, so as we add value intentionally to others, we need that deliberate effort. We need to put in the effort that is required. And then we also need to align our strength and passions with opportunities to grow and give back. Yeah, so as you're intentional, as you are deliberate about the actions, make sure that they are aligning with the sole goal, with the biggest aim at hand, at thought, for your contribution into this person's life. And then also our contribution is a ripple effect. Your growth inspires others. Always, your growth inspires and empowers others. So it should be an effort where it's empowering and inspires them. It shouldn't be that where they say that that person has grown, but I doubt how they have grown. I'm so skeptical of how they have achieved that. As we achieve this business growth, as we achieve this growth in our incomes, it should be empowering to others and inspire them. It also creates a multiplier effect that extends our influence. So our influence shouldn't be in, let's say, our smallest circles, which is our families that we belong to, our nuclear families. Our influence should be even in the extended ones, in our community. I'd want to be that one person who is talked about to have created that influence wherever I have gone, and of course positively. Yeah, so, and also I learned that we create a legacy through our contribution. We create a lasting legacy which is built to equip others to succeed. Our impact continues through the growth of those we've helped. I want to believe that one day when we are all and gone, people will have something to speak of us, that what did LCF contribute, let's say, in the Ugandan community? I've always heard these stories of people who have gone through LCF. I've met people who were part of LCF, and they kept telling me, it helped me grow, it helped me see these things differently. I learned a lot from the community. They came and they left, so it created a ripple effect. What we do here creates a ripple effect to others. So we never know how someone, let's say like Elton, comes through LCF, and wherever he goes afterwards in life, they are going to impact others by what they learned, what was contributed in their life through LCF. Yeah, so I'll ask us, how do we practice the law of contribution? How do we practically do it? How do we practically contribute to others' lives? First and foremost, we have to evaluate our growth. One of the questions that I always ask myself is, am I using my growth to help others? I've grown up as a firstborn in my family, and I always find it that a firstborn of a firstborn and a firstborn, and I always find it that even uncles come to me and they ask about certain stuff, and in my head I'm like, God, what do I have to do? What do they have to learn from me? But I got to believe and learn that I got to start asking myself, as I grow, am I helping them? I might look younger to them, but am I helping them really? We also have to be generous with our time, knowledge, and resources, mostly as we serve, Some of the work that we do is voluntary work. We have to be at that point where we give of our time, of our busy schedules. I found one of the places that, one of the organizations that I always give of my time is Rotary. And I got to learn Rotary through a friend who was a Rotaractor. And when I joined Rotaract and eventually Rotary, I got to learn what it means to give to others. Even when you don't have the time, you have to make time for the fellowships. You have to make time for the catch-ups. You have to make time for the meetings and visit other Rotary clubs and learn from them and see how it impacts you and impacts others. And whatever you learn, you don't keep it to yourself. You have to spread it to the others. In one of the Rotaract clubs that I belonged to, whenever we went for catch-ups, these were like going to other Rotaract clubs and learning from them so that we bring it back home. They always ask us, what did you learn? How can we use it in our Rotaract club? Yeah, the other thing that I learned is to mentor and inspire others. As you grow, you have to look up to those who are below you and inspire them. They have to look up to you and they say, yeah, he's doing well and I want to follow in his footsteps. You have to shift your focus from what can I get to what can I give. We are children of God first of all, and that's the biggest thing that he has called us to do. Not to ask what we are receiving from others, but what we can give to them. Just like he gave us salvation at a free cost, just like he loved us before he loved us first, before even we're made in our mother's wombs. The Bible says that he knew us. So he has already given to us, and he gave us the biggest gift, which was Christ. So we should always ask ourselves also, what can we give to others? And of course, just like God gave us Jesus, we can always give the love of Christ to those first, even before we come to monetary contributions or material things. That is the first thing that he has called us to do in our communities and in our spheres. The other thing is for us to be grateful. The Lord loves grateful people who go to him with humble and contrite hearts, people who are always happy about what he has done, who are always looking out for the good that he has done for us. Every time you're grateful, you shift your focus from what you lack to what you already have, and how you can grow whatever you have, how you can keep it, and how you can give it to others. So when you're grateful, you always put people first. You will not put yourself first, because naturally, naturally humans are so individualistic. We are so selfish to ourselves. But God has created us, and also the universe requires of us to put other people first. If I had one preacher who said that if you want to touch the apple of God's eye, you should think about his people first. And who are his people? He tells us those who are lonely, the widows, the orphans, and the like. So what's the whole instance of us growing? What's the whole instance of us building businesses, acquiring this wealth? Is so that we can always give it back to those people that God has put in our areas so that we can impact. I was reminded recently about our theme for the business service, which talks about earning it, keeping it, growing it, and giving it. Then I realized the first three things, earning, keeping, and growing, are contributions to ourselves first. So after you've grown it and you're contributing to yourself, what then happens? You have to give it away and you contribute to society. Yeah. So the other thing that the book talks about is don't let stuff own you. Don't always be a materialistic person. You can always have enough of what you need, but if you don't need something, there is no need of hoarding it and keeping it to yourself. There are always people that you can give it to or that you can pass it on to. Um, don't let people own you is the other point that he talks about. When people own you, they will control what you contribute to society. Sometimes when people own us, they feel like, why are you giving 10,000 to that person? Why are you giving a 10 pounds to that person? They always feel like everything that we own is theirs too. So don't, John Maxwell says, don't let people own you. He also says, define success as sowing, not reaping. We all know the parable of the sower and what happens thereafter. Sometimes we spend time thinking about what we are going to reap, but in essence, God wants us to sow even more. He wants us to give back more and define our success through that. The other is focus on self-development and not fulfillment. Fulfillment is sometimes deceitful, sometimes it's fleeting. Have you ever reached that point in your life where you feel like I've been fulfilled, but the next day when you wake up, you feel empty, you feel like you need something more? You always feel that you want a certain yearning, you want more and more. Like naturally, that's how we are as human beings, but we shouldn't let fulfillment drive us. We should think about more of self-development, because the more we develop ourselves, the more we shall be able to develop others. The last one says, keep growing to keep giving. I think one of the things that we learn about this in this book is the biggest thing is giving. Giving. It's repeated so many times in the book. And I hope that we all take that from it, and we just ask ourselves, how can we give to others? Are we encouraging people to contribute to others? Or are we encouraging people to contribute to us individually? I remember when I was just a young man after my first undergrad, I was just there looking for something to do. I had nothing to do, and I was just sketching myself. And because I was giving into a certain fellowship that I was belonging to, just like one morning when I talked to a friend of mine and told him, I'm just at home doing nothing. It wasn't so long after I had finished. This person, because I was giving so much, this person just told me, come with me, I'm going to take you to someone that I know. Immediately there and then took me to someone that he knew who gave me my first job, my first placement. And of course, it wasn't like a full-time job, it was like a volunteering job, but I was still happy to take it because I was still giving. I was giving of my time. And through that giving, through that volunteering work, I got to meet so many people who contributed to my life. I met people who referred me to other jobs, people who always called me for gigs, people who always looked out for me like family. And there is no better place to meet such people who contribute to you, like in your work, like in church, like we are here. In most cases, when we go into the world, the workplace in the world is tough. It's very hard for someone to hold your hand. It's very hard for someone to see that you can do something and they will recommend you. Usually when we do it, let's say from church, when we do it from community of people who know us, community of people whom we fellowship with, they help us even succeed more. They help us grow in that line. Yeah, so what's the essence of contribution? Like I've been saying, we're talking mostly about growth and giving and the like. So I realized that growth is not just about personal success. It's about success for all of us as a group. When one person succeeds, they should be able to hold up others. There should be a ripple effect amongst us that we will see that Derek Mobido has succeeded and he is helping his LCF community to succeed in that line. It's not about personal success, it's about making a difference. Contribution creates significance and a lasting legacy. Yes, so as we contribute, let us know that it will be known after some years. After some years, they will be talking about Pastor T and his contribution to the LCF community. Yeah. And what we do for ourselves dies with us. Imagine if you kept all the money that you had to yourself and no one knew where it was, it would die with you. In most cases, whenever people die and they leave money in the banks. I recently saw on Ugandan social media, someone was asking, what happens to the money that people have on their mobile phones, like mobile money? They were asking the telecom companies. And then someone just said, it goes to the companies, of course. Who is going to go there asking for my relative's money? He was on this line. And so what we do for ourselves dies with us, but what we do for others lives on. So endeavor to always do something for others and always endeavor to be practical about it and seek to contribute in one way or the other. You may start with your family. What do I contribute to my family? What do I contribute to my church? What do I contribute to my workplace, where I spend most of my days? What do I contribute to society as a whole? Or am I just occupying space and just being there, or am adding value to them? Yeah, so as I end my presentation, I just want to encourage us to continue being of positive contribution as we grow in all our spheres and our circles of life. As we earn the money, as we keep it, as we grow it, let us remember to give it when we've done all this and when we've grown in everything that we do. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We're going to take some comments and questions, but there's
yes.
one in my journey of understanding the increase and growth. I formed a saying, that poverty is not due to lack of money, but to lack of association and gratitude. Very interesting. But we'll talk about that next time. Thank you so much, Elton. That was great, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
Now, could we have any comments?
Do you have any questions? Thank you very much, Pastor Betty.
Thank you very much, Mr. Elton, for that contribution. I'm just wondering, how would you expect me to behave if I'm contributing to a society that is not grateful?
A society that's not grateful. I'm made to think that gratitude comes from how we perceive. Are we giving to people for them to be grateful, or we are giving because we have been given and we are called to give? Yeah, sometimes it's how we perceive the gratitude. We are Christians, and we know sometimes God sends us to give to people who have even wronged us, people that we don't know, and we may not expect gratitude from them. Yeah, so we give so that because we have been given and we are called to give, I think, to me.
That's great. I was just going to say that giving to people that are not grateful just makes us more like Jesus, because that's what he does all the time.
Yes.
He gives of himself, and we're not necessarily grateful.
Yeah.
I love a phrase that I think it's Apostle Grace who says that we reap what we sow, not where we sow. So it doesn't matter where you sow, people don't look like they're grateful. It's what you sow. And then the last thing is there's one line that stood out for me so much in this chapter, And it says, my life belongs to the whole community. And as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can.
Thank you very much. I've remembered it too. Thank you, Pastor Grace.
Yeah, I also want to add on to the question, the answer. When Jesus was asked, "Who's your neighbor?" and he gave a parable of the Samaritan. My voice is a bit low. So the Samaritan and the Jews were enemies to each other. But what did the Samaritan do when he found a Jew was injured? Right? He did what he had to do. He paid everything for his upkeep without the Jew even knowing who did it. And that's what Jesus said. That's who your neighbor is. So we should give of ourselves without thinking, from the abundance in our hearts. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much. I'm also reminded that, have you noticed that big companies always have they always have a portion of what they give to their social responsibility, what they give to others. Yeah, CSR, they have charities, it's like they give without even expecting, because they feel like it's required of them. Yeah, so one of the things that I found out that some of the ways that I realized we can give is through volunteering, through donating, supporting our local initiatives, educating ourselves and others so that we are not ignorant of so many things, being respectful, and being environmentally conscious.
Thank you very much, very much. Sorry, I had to. Okay, one more, because we need to wrap up the year.
All right, thank you very much, Elton, for that very wonderful topic and for taking your time to research and present to us. And thank you very much well for the organizers of the big service. I think you've given me a statement that is more like its challenges, because it says you can only make a difference to other people. But then I do remember that in Matthew 17, when Jesus gave an instruction to Peter to go to the lake, he said, go to the lake. He gave him instruction. He said, go to the lake, pick the fish, you hook it, press the hook, pick the fish, bring it out. And that fish was having some message, was having money, was having wealth. But then he followed instructions. He was not doing it for himself. Jesus could have done it by himself, but he still instructed Peter to go ahead. So I think then it also requires that we be available and we listen to instructions, because you could miss up an instruction when you are missing up leading a community or saving a community. So I think it is also a call that we work with God to make a difference in other people's lives. And again, most of us are good when somebody passes on, we say, Fabiola, rest in peace. That's a good statement, but you cannot rest in the peace you've not worked for. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Fabio.